Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're here to talk about a board game.
Indeed.
Because it's a review episode.
Should we have fake British accents the whole episode?
No.
No, but I am going to say Harry Potter a whole lot. Harry Potter.
Should I say at the top of the review that I know very little to nothing about Harry Potter?
It's probably good to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So I will be coming at this review from a complete just gameplay standpoint and not have any relation to all of the crazy bullshit that people flip shit over all the time. Even though these books have been done for like a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a long while.
There's amusement parks.
Yes.
People have been stabbed to death. I made that up.
No, people have been stabbed to death before.
I mean, yeah. Over Harry Potter?
Well, you didn't get to that part. You just said people have been stabbed to death, which is unfortunately a true statement.
Yeah.
But anyway, the game we are going to be reviewing this week, if you haven't figured it out, has to do with Harry Potter. It is Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. This is a 2016 release from designer Forrest Pruzan Creative, which
it sounds like a collective.
Like a firm.
Yeah.
Cami Mandel and Andrew Wolf. Artist is Joe Van Wettering and published by USAopoly. It plays 2 to 4 players and takes 30 to 60 minutes. Zach, do you have a rules rundown for us?
Yes. The first line is for Jeff. In Harry Potter, you're good wizards using wizardry to defeat the bad wizards.
Oh, shit.
Now you understand it, right?
And I've learned that it also happens in the 90s.
Yes, it does. Each round, you will be playing cards to gain money to buy better cards, gain damage to hurt the villains, and gain health to heal you. There are going to be locations that dictate how many dark arts cards you're going to encounter each round. The villains are trying to control the locations, increasing the difficulty for each one that they capture. If your health ever goes down to 0, you are stunned, losing half your cards and then adding additional control to the villains. But if you're ever able to kill all the villains before they gain control of the last location, you win.
Yeah, that sounds about right without giving too much away. Because I think it's important to note right now, for spoilery purposes, this is
Snake kills Dumbledore.
Whoa. Jeez. Just a bleeding edge spoiler right there.
Yeah, sorry.
It's basically the biggest spoiler of the entire series. Granted, it's been a series that's been complete for over 10 years.
And it's been about a decade since that spoiler's been out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it the King Kong rule? Are you allowed to spoil that King Kong dies at the end after a decade? Or, I don't know, it was like 1918 that original King Kong
I
came
feel
out?
like a decade is the statute of limitations on spoilers.
Yeah.
And even that's a modern generosity, because I feel like spoilers are a new thing where everybody's so obsessed about like not having things ruined for them.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway,
but
that
spoilers
aside,
for this game.
this is a vaguely campaign style game.
I mean, it is a campaign.
I
would say campaign style game.
Yeah,
yes.
and so as you play through the games each year, the mechanics and things are going to change a little bit.
They're going to evolve.
They're going to evolve. We are going to definitely talk about all of that. So if for some reason you have already decided you wanted to play Harry Potter and you super want to experience each new evolving mechanic on its own, you might want to step away because we're going to talk about everything that's in all of it.
I would say take the headphones off or something, because if you step away with headphones, they're still going to be hearing it. That's not going to help. They could run as far as they want.
Throw your speaker you're listening on this through your window.
There you go.
Seems excessive, but
people do a lot of crazy things for spoilers.
This is true. So if you consider the new mechanics that are introduced each year to be spoilers, we'll try and take it year by year, so you can maybe listen as far as you're interested and then cut it off, but I make no promises. Listen from this point on at your own risk. Sound fair?
Yeah.
Right on.
Unless it's year 1 or 2, because no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, indeed. The game itself tells you to skip those.
Yeah.
When the game tells you to skip 2/7 of the entire game, we're on track for something.
Okay.
So, right on. Well, let's go ahead and start where we pretty much always start, and that is with our initial thoughts for this game. Zach, you played it first out of all of us because you bought it on one of your trips to visit your mom to play with her.
Yes.
And I think that was the first time that any of us had played this. So what were your thoughts going into it? Maybe a little bit about why you thought that would be a good game to play with your mom.
So when I was visiting her, she wanted to go to an actual like a GameStop, or not a GameStop, a game shop. And there was a board game store, near where she lived. And we were looking through a bunch of the different games. And I remember that this one really caught her eye because of the Harry Potter theme. She's a huge Harry Potter fan. And so I was explaining it a bit to her because I'd heard about it a while ago, that it's a campaign game. You play through all the different years, and it's a deck builder that has, evolving mechanisms and stuff like that. And she sounded really interested because I had taught her Pandemic and she really liked that. So she was on a cooperative high, I guess you could say. And so
been there.
Yeah, right. And so I was like, all right, yeah, let's give this a try, because I had heard good things about it, that a lot of people liked it. And so I was like, yeah. But we definitely started on year one because she had no idea what a deck builder was. So when we first started, it was the barest of bones on this game.
Right on. Then I was the next to acquire and play this game when we were gearing up for the anniversary raffle this January. One of the many games that was donated to us was Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. And I remember, as we were bringing all the games inside after they were donated and I was piling them up, Megan saw that one. She goes, would it be bad form to play one of the already opened games, the used games that are being donated? And I was like, no, I don't necessarily think so, as long as you don't ruin it. And then we never actually got around to playing it. So then we did the raffle, and
then I won the game.
And Zach won Harry Potter, and he immediately went, here, Megan, you can have this. And she went, oh, no, you won it. And he went, okay, Julie, here, have the game. And Julie took it.
Julie was like 100% yes.
At which point I purchased the game.
And what was great is you were like, Megan, no, Zach's being serious. Like, he wasn't a jester. It's giving it to you.
Yeah. Take the game.
Because Zach already owned it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then I ended up buying it for her so that she could enjoy it as well. She seemed particularly interested in it. So I bought it for her. And so going into it, I tend to like most deck builders. It's not by far my favorite mechanic, but it's also one that I tend to not have problems with. So I was interested from that perspective. I like Harry Potter as a theme. I've read all the books. I've watched all the movies. I wouldn't say obsessed with Harry Potter like some people are. Like some people are really, oh my God, Harry Potter.
Some people are real fucked up about it.
Yeah. But I definitely enjoy that entire mythology. And I know Megan likes it even more than I do. And so I was looking forward to playing a game with her that, she was going to particularly enjoy and that she was excited about. That appealed to me. So that was kind of my headspace going into my first plays of Harry Potter. I'd also heard some of the complaints about it being barely a game for the first couple of years. So I was interested to see how that progression played out. Jeff, how about you?
I was interested in it. I think we were at the Gen Con. This was announced. I remember looking at it and be like, oh, I like deck builders. But then after doing some reading up on it, I was like, it seems like a pretty intro deck builder. It might not really interest me mechanically. But then over the years since it's come out, I've seen so many people that I have not ever heard of playing any sort of deck builders or board games, really, period. Like, go nuts over this game. To the point of where last year when we got Gen Con, when the expansion released, one of my coworkers at Target was like, can you get me that expansion? And I was like, probably not. But it was just like him and his wife playing. So when we decided to do the review, I was looking forward to seeing what all the hype was about, even though I don't give a single fuck about the world of Harry Potter.
Not even one? Not a solo?
Not one single...
Not even a pity?
Not even a pity fuck.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, then, let's move on and talk about the components next. So, for components, this is I would say a mixed bag. There are some really good mixed box. There's a mixed box of components. There are some that are really good.
Yes.
There's some that's really bad. And I'd say that it even kind of carries over into the art a little bit. Some of the art's really good. And some of it, although I wouldn't say is bad, is a bit lazy.
And it's pretty much all from the movies.
Yeah.
The art itself, yes.
Yeah.
So, components first, ranging from the really good end, which are like the metal cast.
The control tokens.
Which represent bad guys' control of locations, and you add that to them.
Or location damage, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. In the game, it's officially control. The enemies are slowly gaining control over locations. So those tokens represent control. They're like a solid cast metal skull, like embossed onto a hexagon.
Yeah.
And they're nice. They got some weight to them without being like too big and unwieldy. And yeah, they're really nice. In later games, some dice get implemented, which are fine. They're printed on. They're not like engraved or anything. But the dice are, I think, pretty good. But then that's kind of countered by things like the cards themselves aren't the best quality of cards out there.
No, I feel like I forgot to compare them to the...
Yeah, I meant to remind you to bring Legendary.
Or you should open up your copy, then we could just look at them.
I like keeping it in shrink.
But
anyhow,
I feel like it was about the same quality as that one.
Yeah.
As in not good.
Yeah, so they're fairly thin.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really coated at all.
They'll start scuffing up on the edges when you're shuffling.
Yeah, they're all black borders, so they really show.
Brown borders?
Dark borders.
Yeah,
so they really show if they get a small scuff or nick at the edges, it really is clearly visible because it exposes that white interior of the card. And you're shuffling cards enough between shuffling the main deck of draw cards and then your deck starts out with only 10. So your 10 are going to wear real quick.
Yeah.
And then you're only buying maybe 1-2 cards a turn. Occasionally, the most I've ever seen is 3, and I've only seen that once or twice. But so you're drawing a hand of 5, so you're shuffling every 2, 3, 4 hands pretty consistently. So these cards are getting used a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so at the very and it's also what we saw when we were playing is that as you go the year 1 cards. When you go to year 2, you add in year 2 cards, but you still use the year 1. So they get used a lot more than the year 7 cards. So they're going to look different even in between those.
Well, and even aside from that, I don't think it's a wear issue. They're just legitimately printed darker. Right. Because Megan and I, when we played each year exactly 1 time before adding the next year. So yeah, sure, when you added year 7, we'd played with the year 1 cards in 6 previous games.
Yeah.
But there were cards in the year 1 deck that we never saw until the end. So they were only shuffled the 6 times throughout the game in that initial shuffling the deck. Some of them are just distinctly different backs. It amazes me that in one box, one set of cards that are all supposed to be the same deck have noticeably different shades to the back.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it affects gameplay at all because it does
because it's a cooperative deck builder.
Game, yeah.
So yes, if you want to shadily be like, oh, this darker card is clearly the card that I just bought from year 7, I'll shuffle until I see that on the top of my deck.
Then you're just a shitty person.
Yeah. So it's easy to just ignore that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it
is noticeable. It is definitely noticeable.
I mean, this is something we talked about with Mystic Veil. You get a thick card, and as you're shuffling, you're like, oh, that card's got all my... Anything that gives you even a hint that, ooh, my next card actually might be my good card. You can try to ignore it, but we're human. You notice, oh, that card on top of my deck, that looks like that's going to be a good card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really hope I get a draw.
No. I mean, it's not you can't be all right, Adrian, I want you to let me draw a card so that I can get this one thing. I definitely think it should be better.
It should be better.
And it's noticeable, but it's at least I don't think it actually affects the gameplay at all.
I would agree. I don't think it actually affects the gameplay unless you're playing with, again, the kind of shitty person who would shuffle an extra time to make sure that, that noticeably different card is on top.
Yeah.
But again, that's more indicative of the player's personality than the gameplay. They should be better, though.
Yeah.
Especially for a company like USAopoly that makes a lot of games. Other component issues that I have, there are some tokens that you get later in the game. The 2 blocking tokens for the...
Horcruxes?
No, well, so there's the big shields.
Yeah.
But then also...
the Petrify spell.
Yeah, and then also the 4 Horcrux ones.
Yeah.
When they come out in the game, they come on a little sheet that you got to punch them out. They're not well done to where punching them out is kind of a pain, and they feel like if I continue to play this game for a long period of time, they're eventually just going to split in the middle. The cardboard isn't well stacked.
It's molded or something.
Yeah. It feels like it's eventually, those 2 tokens are going to become 4 tokens.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't talk to I don't remember. I feel like when I punched it out, it was fine, but it might just be I didn't get to year 6 or year 7, so.
Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the overall component quality.
Tokens are like the damage tokens and the money tokens.
Yeah, the
are
main
good.
tokens that you use throughout the game are fine. The player boards I actually like. I think they're good player boards.
Yeah.
They're thicker cardboard. They some slight warping, but everything warps in Colorado, so it's hard to really tell whether that's a problem with the boards or whether that's
labeled
just local.
On where, like, you know, where to put your cards and stuff, and it has 2 slots for your main character.
Yeah,
and then the setup thing, and then what is that first card?
It's the turn order track of like what you do each turn.
Yeah,
round overview. I do like that those player boards, they have little notches that come off those 4 corners so that it kind of fits the width of like your draw deck, your discard pile, and those 2 larger ones. So things kind of fit in and around your player board.
Yeah.
They put some thought into it, it felt like.
Insert seems nice.
The insert, I think, is very good. It definitely more than holds all of the cards and organizes them well.
Has nice dividers.
Yep. It's got room to add expansions, which is good because there is already an expansion that we haven't played, so we're not going to really talk about it, but it exists.
Yeah. I like how the board, because there is a board, which is where you put all the cards on there, and that they leave spaces for all the, for the different years.
Yes.
Because you keep adding things as you go through. But on the back of the board, if you fold it up, there's just an image of like the inside of a suitcase because the outside of the game box looks like a suitcase.
Looks like a big chest.
Yeah, a big chest.
Because that's all a Harry Potter theme. They have these trunks or chests.
So I think that it means absolutely nothing for the game itself, but I think it was a little touch that was like, that's
it
cool.
Looks nice when you open it up.
What did you think of the board itself?
The board itself is almost entirely superfluous. You don't need it. It just is like areas to place the different decks of cards and like where you then lay out cards you flip, which I've played enough other deck builders where it's just like lay these things out in some vague semblance of an order. So I don't feel like it's necessary.
I wouldn't say it's necessary,
but it's nice.
It's definitely nice. Like the legendary games, they have those sort of things, and it's like it's better that they have them.
The legendary ones have a lot of art and stuff. I feel that make them even better. This one, it really has no art. It has faint outlines of the shapes of the cards you're putting in the spaces.
No, but I mean,
which is what I prefer.
Yeah, I was gonna say that didn't stop Jeff from buying
a $20 extra playmat for Predator that didn't have any of the art on it.
Well, Predator's art was suspect.
I mean, it was better than Fireflies at least. But that's beside the point.
Yeah,
sick deck building burns.
Yes, but I do think that especially this game, and it goes along with, I think, USAopoly being, I mean, they got kind of like famous-ish from like reskins of Monopoly. A lot of their stuff is geared more towards casual gaming and like intro to gaming.
Mass market.
Yeah, which we'll get into a little bit with the rules explanation about how this game starts off. Like year 1 assumes you've never played any board game ever and you're completely unfamiliar with the concept of deck building. And then it builds from there. So I think from that perspective, if you're expecting the people to play this to have never played any kind of game at all, having the board to help you guide where to put cards and how to lay them out, that makes a lot more sense. And it doesn't bother me to have it in there. Something to keep things organized and in place, I think is totally fine. So yeah, I'm okay with the board. Art and graphic design.
I mean, they pull straight from the movies.
Well, especially so like the villain cards, the player cards, and the character cards that are like mixed into the and a lot of the items, the allies and the items. The spells definitely aren't from the movies. They're like a textbook diagram of like the wand movement, which, as Jeff pointed out, like one of them that's like a healing spell is like up and to the right. One of them that's like a fuck up the bad guy spell is up and to the left.
Yep.
And it was like, man, sure hoping these students don't confuse those two during class. But it's really clearly just mirrored images.
Really saved the art department.
Yeah.
On that one. Just rotate that 180 degrees, put it on the card, call it a day.
I would say all this stuff is serviceable, but it's not like, this is great. It's not like showing any like action poses or anything. It's always just a picture of them with like a bluish background or a yellowish background.
Yeah, words are hard sometimes.
Enunciation.
Yeah, I would agree. And the items, for the most part, are either again, same thing from the movies, or they're like pretty standard renditions of something like,
Yes.
oh, this is a textbook, or like this, the Marauders map is, I don't think it's a picture from the movie, but it's clearly like just the Marauders map
No,
folded
yeah,
up.
it's not like somebody looking at the map,
Yeah.
like trying to use it. It's just a picture of the map. So
Yeah.
I think all the art is serviceable, but definitely nothing.
Not going to be winning any awards.
No.
I would agree. Yeah, I think that kind of sums up everything. The iconography is, there's not a lot of iconography.
No.
Because again, this is a game that's clearly designed for like newbies.
Yeah.
So most things
They use
tend to
words.
be spelled out more than.
So it'll be all heroes versus any one hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or another hero. So it's all like it's.
The one exception I've noticed is like the control tokens. They pretty much always show that symbol for gaining control,
Yeah.
like place A, and then it shows a picture of the control
Mhm.
token on the location.
But I mean, also said like it still says like whenever you gain money, it's gain one money symbol, gain
Yeah.
one power symbol. So they're using all the different symbols there, but then they're trying to. They don't have like 3 arrows to simplify. Everybody gets one. It's always just
yeah.
Everyone.
They'll say everyone. So
But I think that kind of sums up all the components and art, graphic design stuff. So rules and rules explanation. This is a really easy game to teach.
especially in the beginning.
If you're going, especially if you want to start from year 1 and work your way to year 7, because you're going to start off by teaching a very basic game, and then each additional game you're going to add a very small change.
Yes.
Until by the end you have a
much different game.
much different game. Which, Zach, what all years have you? Did you end up playing all the years over the course of our play testing?
I didn't play 6,
Okay,
but that's because
all right.
But I did play 7, which had the thing that 6 was added.
Yes.
So the proficiencies. So.
And I played all 7. Jeff, we skipped right to 3 with you, so
Mhm.
you have not played 1 and 2, the beginner years, and then you did 3, 4, 5, and 7.
3, 4, 5, 7.
And the rules do specifically say if you've never like you said, if you've never played 1, you start with 1. But if you know how to play deck builders and stuff, you just can go ahead and go to 3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's why we were like, I think Jeff has done a deck builder or 2.
Yes.
Almost like it's his favorite mechanic or something
Uh-huh.
like that. And we can expect him to understand how to play this game.
Yes. And this is a trench style
Yes.
with some other bullshit.
Yes. So starting off in year 1, we'll just run through these real quick.
Yeah.
Year 1 is just the most basic stripped down version of this game. There's very few cards. You have no unique player powers.
Mhm.
You're only fighting one bad guy at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And the rules walk you through setting up that and playing that. And it basically covers like, this is money. You use money to buy new cards.
Mm-hmm.
These are attack. You use
Yep.
attack to do damage.
I felt the rules did a really good job of explaining not only how the base game works, but every time you added a new box of stuff, a new year, it had a little info sheet. But here are the changes. These are the things you're doing the same. Here's stuff that you're doing differently, and that's how this works.
Yeah.
I do have to say that it has a really cool layout in the back page of the rulebook
Mhm.
where it's got the little tuck sleeves that you can just pull out that year's
Mhm.
changes.
Yeah,
I
because they're
thought
just
that was
a
cool.
small piece of paper
Yeah.
that folds out, and it's front and back, and it has the things, and then it folds up nicely. And like Jeff said, on the back page, there's 6 slots for years 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Mhm.
And you just tuck the requisite rule into the pouch. So if you need to reference something from a specific year, you just pull that out, and it tells you.
I feel like the first, like when I was looking for like one of the, I was like, "Where's the year 1?" Oh, right, that's just the main.
It's just the main
Just
rule.
the main rules. I think that year 1 is probably more basic than it needs to be. Like, I feel like they could have stretched things a bit different to where, like, I get what they're going for with this being a super intro to deck building, and like they're figuring that probably rightfully so.
Mhm.
Harry Potter is such a mass appeal outside of board games that people are going to pick this up who've
Mhm.
never played a board game.
Yep.
But I still feel like year 1 in particular, and maybe even year 2, are more simplified than they need to be.
Have you played this with someone who is not
I have not.
A game-
So you've played with your mom
Yes.
who's never played.
like? Yeah. I taught her Pandemic, and there was a little bit of struggle with that of trying to remember how to do things, and so I thought they did a good job with the first year of it being super simple, so you could actually understand, and also that it wasn't hard.
Yeah, it
So-
certainly isn't hard.
No, because if it was super hard and simple, but also then it could be frustrating. I thought they did a good job, but if the bar to go to 3 is really low, but for people who can't reach that bar, I'm glad to see that 1 and 2 are there.
Okay.
So,
because like the only time I've really introduced somebody brand new to deck building, like my mom, I introduced her to deck building with Legendary Alien, and she grokked that. You know, like there was a little bit of like walking her through it, but I feel like deck building, especially for pure deck builders, not like a game like Clank or Great Western Trail, where it's a game with deck building in it. That's harder because there's other game stuff to explain. But if it's just a deck building game, I don't think deck building it usually is pretty easy to explain to people. I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying. But it's not, I think it's nice that it's there and that it goes by quick. Like if it was long, then it would be another story. I would agree with you. But I'm like, 1, it's like we're gonna do this one real quick. This is how it works. Bam. All right. And then 2 is just a little bit more complicated than the first one. Just adding a couple more things. It's a little bit harder, a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Megan and I knocked out 1 through 3 in probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
Playing 2-player. Like we flew through them. But we wanted to experience them all because, you know, as I mentioned earlier, Megan really likes Harry Potter, so she wanted to do all 7 years.
Yeah.
But year 3 is the first year you get your next level cards, right? Or is that 4?
Yes, no, it's 3.
Yeah, so 3 is the first time you get player-specific powers.
Yep.
So your player cards are going to have a unique ability. Not anything too crazy.
Nope.
But
then it also added that you fight 2 villains at a time instead of 1.
Which ups the difficulty substantially.
Yeah, mainly because like both of their powers activate at the same time.
Yes.
And they can sometimes combo off each other in a way that you're like, oh, fuck this guy, because you're like, this guy makes you discard a card. The other guy is like, anytime you discard a card, you have to lose health. And you're like, oh, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
All you bitches.
Yes.
But otherwise, year 3 is still pretty standard deck builder fare. Year 4 adds...
But we should explain the general, like, how you win is you just defeat all the villains.
Yeah.
You just, you get more, that villain deck keeps getting thicker and thicker as more years go by.
Because it was like 5 in the first one, and then 7 in the second one, and then
I feel like it adds roughly 2 per year, with some exceptions.
So by year 7, you're fighting through all year 1 through 7's villains.
Yeah.
3 at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're getting all of those more powerful cards added into the purchase deck that you're just shuffling together.
Yeah.
When do the bullshit cards come in?
The defense arts cards? They're always there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are there more that get added?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like 5 to 7 that are added each year.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you don't start off the game with take 3 damage and then draw another card. You don't get...
Well, just like they didn't... Yeah, and this follows along, if you're fans of the series, if you follow Harry Potter, you know, year 1, nobody knew about Avada Kedavra. Like, the killing spell. Which is the one that does like 3 damage, and if it stuns you, add a control, and just really wrecks everybody's day.
Yep.
Same thing with like some of those other ones that are really nasty, like the Crucio, which is the one where you take 2 damage from another player and then draw another card.
Yeah.
A lot of those draw another cards didn't start showing up until like year 4 or later.
Okay.
So there's a distinct difficulty curve.
Yeah, so 3 definitely added the difficulty curve. So in 4 they added house dice. They're cards that let you roll the dice, and they it's a way to help everybody, because whatever you roll, everybody gets that.
Yep.
And each house has 3 facings of one of the things. It's like money, health, draw a card, or damage.
Yes. Yeah, so each of them focus on one of those, but you're like,
but
still
you
get a
can
chance.
get the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so those dice in 4, I feel like they introduce them, but they're not key.
No.
But it's good that they introduce them there, because as you move along and the game gets more and more difficult, those dice get more and more important.
Yes.
Because again, like you mentioned, whatever you roll, everyone gets. So if you roll a lightning, which is like the attack, everyone gets 1 attack, which can be huge because some characters don't gain attack very well.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, those 4.
Yeah.
In year 5,
and we should mention that your specific hero actually upgrades as you go along as well, and their hero power becomes better.
Yeah, well, that was in year 3. That's when the first upgrade happens.
Okay.
But in 5, it gets even harder because 3 villains are coming out each turn instead of 2, and Voldemort comes out now. Now he is actually a villain that you fight, but he's the last one.
Yeah, but the thing with Voldemort is, as the rules explain, you're going to put him face up at the bottom. And so when you remove the second to last, if Voldemort's the last card, the second to last card, when you remove it and flip it face up into the trench for bad guys, now Voldemort's exposed. He's now active.
Yep.
So you go most of the game with 3 until you pull that last card, and then now, huzzah, you've got 4.
Yeah.
Unless you time things well to where you killed like 3 villains in one turn.
Yeah.
Which,
and so
good luck with that.
Yeah. So 5 is pretty hard.
Yeah.
And so in 6, it always seems like this game has an increase in difficulty, and so on the next one they have something that helps offset that a bit. Because in 6 it adds proficiencies,
Yes.
which is now another character upgrade for you. Basically, there's a bunch of different ones, and they have
A ton of different
ones, and all of them are unique, and they have some pretty powerful effects on them.
Yeah, although I think it's interesting, like some of the effects, like some of them are clearly way better.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are like, why would you ever choose this? Especially considering there's 9 of them, and the most you play with is 4 players.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that seems odd.
Yeah, those 6.
Is Voldemort different between
Yes,
5, 6,
Voldemort
and 7?
changes each year.
Okay.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he starts as one thing in 5, and then in 6 he's more powerful.
He has more health and he gets a different power.
Yep.
And then in 7, he's got even more health and yet another different power.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then Horcruxes.
Yeah, in 7, that's one we get your hero ability is upgraded to its final form,
which is usually just, instead of just choose one hero, it's like all heroes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or I think
multiple. That's some variation of multiple.
Mhm.
Varies a little bit from hero to hero. Like
Yeah.
Harry's goes from what affecting one player to affecting 2,
Yep.
whereas Neville's goes from affecting
well, because
all players once
Once.
per turn to all players every time X happens.
yeah. Here's a hint: give Neville a bunch of healing shit.
Yeah, Neville's your
group
cleric.
healer.
Yeah. But then because we get more powerful stuff, the game is like, oh, well, we're just going to have to make it super difficult because now you have Horcruxes. So to defeat Voldemort this last time, we also have to get rid of all 6 of the Horcruxes,
Mhm.
which involve rolling the dice and getting
Matching symbols.
matching symbols, and they all have bad effects on them
Yes.
until you destroy it, in which case you get a good effect. Like you get a
whoever destroys
whoever
it gains
destroys
it as like a bonus.
Yeah.
And you should note that your starter deck does not come with any dice abilities at all.
No, you have to buy them.
You have to hope, and that purchase deck got real thick by game 7.
You got real thick in a real hurry.
But they did keep adding cards that had dice on them.
More dice.
And
In fact, the rules mention that, like, in year 1, that deck is so small. The rules mention you might run it. Like, it's very easy to run out of cards.
yes, it is.
From the draw deck, in which case, just play until you win.
Yeah.
Quit buying cards. Start killing enemies.
You will not run out of cards in
but-
year 7.
No,
No.
We also should mention there's a location for each one of the years, 3 to 4,
3 to 4
each year.
And they're different each year. They're one of the only things that changes consistently each year. Like, otherwise, you're mostly adding the new years
instead
to
of
what
addition,
exists.
it's exchanging. Yeah.
That just gives you the dark art, how many dark art cards you draw a turn, and some do have special
The
bullshit.
last one in the pile usually has a when this location is revealed.
And it's also the game timer too.
Yeah.
Because if the last one ever gets taken, that's how you lose the game.
Yes.
And that's the only way you lose.
Yes.
You
Because you can't die.
No, you get stunned, which advances that clock.
Yeah.
And you lose a bunch of cards and any tokens you've saved up.
Yep.
But
The next turn, you're right as rain.
Yeah.
which can be a strategic decision.
Mhm.
Like, oh shit, heal me so I don't die, versus no, don't bother healing me. It would be good for me to die right now.
Yeah.
And by die we mean stunned, but everybody always just says die.
It's now a horror universe where no one can die ever.
Yeah. I just want to die.
Which explains all the cards. That's why
Right.
Sirius keeps popping back up.
Yeah. For fans of the series, there are some
Well, we can get to that in actual
Anachronies.
gameplay. But yeah.
Fair enough. Otherwise, yeah, aside from the changes each year, the rules they're really well balanced to where you're only adding a little bit. So as long as you don't try and play with a new player years 1 through 7 in one day to where they're just going to be overwhelmed with each new addition, I think it balances itself out well and progresses well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's it for
You got
rules, right?
wraps it up nicely. Anyway, on to gameplay.
Yes.
So,
Well, first off, I want to go ahead and say that the game has a Harry Potter theme, but it's not like when you're playing the game, you don't feel like, oh yeah, I'm Harry. I'm doing like you're not living through the books.
Yeah, so there's not a progressive story
There's not a story element in the game
at all.
And the game gets more complicated, but each of the different years plays like it's all based on the same core that expands upon, but it's not fundamentally changing how you're playing.
Correct. There's not different objectives or anything.
No.
It's always the same objectives, the same losing condition.
Yeah, you're killing the villains. I just want to let you know, in year 7, Quirrell, he shows up.
Yeah.
Doesn't show up in the 7th book.
No, and this is the thing where, like, if you're familiar with the books, each year the characters, like, if you're looking through what's getting added, it makes sense. Like,
Yes.
oh, these are all things that showed up in this year, but you're not losing things from previous years,
No.
so you're still fighting, the year 1 picture of Crab and Goyle
In
as
years-
a monster in year 7,
Yeah.
or as a boss in year 7. The only villain that really progresses is the Voldemort cards in 5, 6, and 7, because you swap it out. That one you swap out each year.
Yeah.
The locations you swap out each year. So you're not always constantly fighting in year 1 locations. You're fighting in like the main settings of book 7.
But it's the setting itself doesn't like
Means nothing.
it means nothing. It's just a track to track your progress.
Yeah. So in that regard, I think that actually works in its benefit. Like, people who are familiar with Harry Potter can read more into the story. Like, ooh, we're in year 5 or whatever, and now Umbridge is showing up. Oh yeah, she was there and she was terrible. Or like, oh, Dementors are showing up now and they suck. So people who know the series can kind of make their own story by these new villains or even the ally cards and things that are getting mixed in. Like, oh, now I can start drawing Tonks. Like, okay, I know where Tonks came into the story.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody in Jeff's situation who has like no connection to the story at all, there's not so much story there to where he's like, I don't understand what's happening because I didn't read the books.
But it's also
for him, it's a deck builder.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, a new character came up, but it's like there have been deck builders where it's like, I got this new person, I have no idea who it is, but I know the ability. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And all I can imagine for people playing this game with any tie to the theme is like, hey, remember blank?
Yes.
This is blank.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like the for me at least that is how the theme comes across. Is it's not really in the gameplay, or it's just more of it's using
familiar things.
It's, hey, we're at here, but we're not at here. It doesn't that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I'm playing this card, but we're not going, oh, I'm doing Expelliarmus, and then I'm just like, all right, I'm playing these. Everybody heals to all that.
Yeah.
stuff.
I played 2 Expelliarmus and a Wingardium Leviosa, and
you're not going to see anybody doing the movements with their hands,
unless you do.
In which case,
why? And they don't always make sense. Like, the order you're playing cards, the cards you're playing, or what they're doing don't always. Like, it doesn't necessarily make sense why, if you're playing as Harry and your starting deck includes his owl, whose name I'm drawing a blank on because I'm apparently the worst.
Hedwig,
yeah. It doesn't necessarily make sense why Hedwig is gain 1 attack or gain 2 health, just like Ron's owl or Hermione's cat or Neville's toad.
Yeah,
like, that's just your starting ally is your pet, and it does the same thing regardless of what ally it is. So it doesn't matter. It's just hey, here's something that vaguely ties this together.
Yes. I will say I'm a big fan of cooperative deck builders where you can give other people things on their turn. So like in Legendary, you have those cooperate cards. It's like, oh, you need extra attack? I'm going to play this card that'll help you give extra attack. This one, it's like you can give other people money, or other people gain damage or cards and stuff like that. And that's all that stuff stays there until the start of your turn. So if you're playing all 3 of us, I could play stuff that gives Jeff money, and then Adrian plays stuff that gives Jeff money. So Jeff has a lot more money come his turn. I do like that it has that it has that very cooperative element of being able to give people things.
Yes. And then to kind of counter that, between some of the dark arts cards you're going to draw, which are a negative event that happens every turn, between some of the villain's powers, which might block those, and then when you get to year 7 and you have those Horcruxes, a lot of those things get blocked, and you don't necessarily think about how much you've been doing one of those things until you can't do it anymore.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh shit, I didn't realize that I was giving out like 5 money every turn until I can't give out money anymore.
Or you build a deck that is entirely based around discarding cards, getting bonus abilities, because some of the cards are like, oh, you can do this, but if you discard this card, and that means specifically use an ability that says discard a card, not just get rid of the card.
Yes.
You build a deck entirely around that, and then one of the Crab and Goyle show up that are like, anytime you discard a card, you have to lose a health. And I was like, no, but everything has a discard on it.
Yeah. Or like you build a deck like Ron Weasley's definitely geared towards allies.
Yeah.
So Ron buys a whole shit ton of allies, and then the card comes out that's like, for every ally you have in your hand at the start of the turn, discard a card or lose 2 health. And it's like, but I've got 5 allies and no other cards, so I have to discard 5 cards or lose 10 health. Oh fuck!
Just lose all the health. I might as well just
stun. Then I only lose like half my cards.
Yeah, you only lose half the cards.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how some of those powers are then balanced out by the game itself.
Yes.
I think that the gameplay itself plays really well. I'm disappointed I did not get a chance to try this at 3 players. On BGG, it's overwhelmingly recommended at 4.
Which may be just from a
or best at 4.
Yeah, because at a difficulty rank.
Yes.
Because it's a lot easier with 2 players than it is with 4 players. Because a lot of those dark arts cards are everybody loses health or everybody has to discard cards. And when it's 2 players, it's not that bad because you're like, oh, my turn. It's fine. I lost the health, but it's gonna be my turn next. I get to heal up. If it's your turn and then people are like, lose health. You're like, I've lost 7 health and it hasn't even been my turn yet.
Yeah. Which I remember, so Megan and I played through all 7 years at 2 players before I ever even played with you guys. And I remember we were talking about it and we were like, I feel like this game was only going to get easier the more players you add. Because in 2 players, that's how much you don't realize how many cards hurt other players.
Yep.
You realize how many of your cards are like, oh, give everybody a coin. It's like, oh, well, you're the only other person, so you get a coin. Could you imagine if it was 4 players and I was giving out 3 coins? Or same thing with Harry's damage in year 7. Everybody gains a damage when a control is removed. So you're playing with one person, you're like, oh, you get a damage. Man, if everybody got one, that'd be I'd be giving out 4 damage. That's a lot of damage. That'd make it so much easier. No, because you're going to lose that much more health.
Yeah, and you lose so much more health that I felt like in the beginning part, if you get a bad draw from the dark arts cards or the villains, every time you're like, all right, I have all these things, because a lot of the things are gain health or do damage. And you're like, I want to do that damage, but I also don't want to get stunned. So I'm just going to keep healing.
Yeah.
And you're trying to keep yourself afloat versus trying to progress it forward via damage.
Right. Sound about right to you, Jeff?
Yeah.
It's a big build up for that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think that for being a just standard deck builder, this game is pure deck builder. That's the game.
It is a pretty standard trend style deck builder.
Yeah. I do like that it introduces new things, like the dark arts cards you draw every turn and the villains having specific things they're throwing at you, which you don't necessarily see in some deck builders. But overall, I feel like because it is just a pure deck builder and you're only teaching that one core mechanic, there's not a lot that makes the gameplay overly confusing or tricky.
Yeah.
But it's still satisfying because deck builders are one of the few games that I feel like you can build an entire game around one mechanic and have it still be a good game.
Yes, yeah. So what do you think of the difficulty curve of the game campaign-wise? From 1 to 7. So we both...
I only ever played it at 4.
Right.
But
4 players.
4 players. But I enjoyed the difficulty across all the games I played between 3 and 7.
Right.
But others that have played it at less players have said that it is much easier at 2 players than 4 players. But I liked it was difficult.
Yes.
Which I enjoyed.
Yeah, you definitely felt that difficulty with 4 players. Adrian, what did you think of the difficulty curve with 2 players from with all the games that you played?
So at 2 players, 1 through 4, I would say are disappointingly easy.
Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't until
you added 3 villains.
Yeah, it wasn't until we hit 3 villains that we ever lost even one location's control.
Gotcha.
And even then, in year 5, I remember year 5 being the first year where it was there was one point where I was like, man, this is hard. We're getting our butts kicked. But then I still don't think in year 5, I think we each in year 5 got stunned for the first time. And we lost a location for the first time. And then we still won handily with all the rest of the locations. I didn't lose a game until we played that first game with 4 players. That was the first time I'd ever lost. And
you guys like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah. Year 7 at 2 players was still really tough. That was the closest we came to losing. We got down to the final location and we're drawing a bunch of cards, but even that was one. And I've seen this curve happen now multiple times at 2 and 4. You're losing. You get down to where like you're on your last location. One more control will lose it, but that's right when your decks have finally hit like fucking baller.
Yeah.
And so you're drawing like 5 cards to start, and then out of those 5, you draw 4 more, and you're doing 10 damage, and you're removing 2 control, and you're healing 3 health all in one hand. And it's just like, I have become a wizarding god, and I am just smashing everything in my path.
Gotcha.
I remember that in the movies.
Yes. It basically, the Neo of the wizarding world.
Mm-hmm.
I can see everything.
John Wick shows up.
Yes.
With a wand.
Yep. But like a tactical wand.
Yeah.
He's still holding it like
it's all black.
Yes.
It's got a 4 grip.
I mean, he always goes for the headshots too, like
Yeah.
the double tap.
Yeah.
He's clinical, precise.
But yeah, that was something that I noticed, is that even the harder ones, it all too often felt like you came right to the edge before like being able to push way back to where, yeah, we're going to win now.
Yeah.
Like that happened in our last game of 4 players in year 7.
Mhm.
We were getting our butts kind of, well, no, year 7 for us was
year
stupid
5.
easy.
Year 5 was the one
We
where
lost.
No, we lost
that
3. No, we lost 4.
We lost 4.
Lost 4.
And
That's
then-
right. No,
No, we played.
we lost 3 because we lost the first
We lost
one.
3. We won 4.
5 we almost lost.
Yeah, we almost lost. That one was like close. 7 was a cakewalk.
Yeah, to where the point, like 7 got to the point where at the end, we had Voldemort stupefied where he's blocked. He was the only villain. We'd killed all the rest of them, and we were just rolling dice to try and heal the...
Get the
And-
Horcruxes.
do
so
the
Jeff, what did you
Horcruxes.
say that you were like 3 of us were holding him down, and then the person whose turn it was?
Well, 2.
was-
You know what it was? It was 2 of us were holding him down. We were still in the first location, which was a graveyard. One of us was digging his grave,
Yep.
and the other was just stabbing Horcruxes to death.
Yeah, and what was great was one of the like some of the villains, like the last couple villains that came out, like literally they came out and Megan killed 2 of them on one turn. So it's like Dolores Umbridge like came walking in and said, "Hey guys, what's going on?" Hermione with the sword of Gryffindor just cuts her head off.
Did you see her cut her fucking head off? Holy shit!
Oh,
She also
man. It's very true to the book.
She had she had the sword in one hand and the Elder Wand in the other because she had both of them and got them both in that hand.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. She in back-to-back turn, well, not back-to-back, but in the 2 turns where she could attack, because we had a decent amount of time between killing the last 2 villains before when we could finally damage Voldemort. But Megan's last turn, she killed the last 2 villains in one hit with like 14 damage. And then the first time we could attack Voldemort, she drew the Elder Wand again and did like another 14 or 15 damage on the first hit where we could actually damage Voldemort.
Yeah.
And then Jeff kind of just finished him off.
Ron finished her. Yeah. So in year 7, Hermione was just killing people left and right
with a sword.
With a sword.
With a fucking sword.
Neville was crushing Horcruxes. Ron was... You were doing something. What were you doing?
I had a ton of allies around me, and I would just sick them on my enemies.
Ron finished off Voldemort.
Yeah, finished off and got some Horcruxes too.
Yeah.
And then Harry was there.
Yeah. Which I felt was the most thematic of all, because really throughout the entire show, the entire series, Harry doesn't do anything but surround himself with people who actually get shit done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
except all my allies that actually got shit done.
Yeah. He was the friend of the friends.
Yes.
No, he was the face. He was the name. It was just like Harry Potter. Yeah, that one guy. Yeah.
But
Voldemort was looking at you when Ron just stabbed you right in the back.
Yeah. We really fucked up Voldemort.
It was hilarious.
In that last round. That was almost disappointingly easy.
We didn't even get through the first location.
Nope, we were just...
It was a graveyard.
Yeah, it was
all
like
the villains had graves. We just kicked them into their graves and covered them with dirt.
Yep.
Yeah. As they walked into the graveyard, we beamed them with a shovel and just rolled them into the grave.
We brought guns.
Yeah.
We brought to a wand fight.
I mean, that's why John Wick was there.
That's it. We brought John Wick. And he just fucking double tapped everyone.
But yeah, I definitely felt on that 7th one. I don't know if it was just like
good luck.
I think it was good luck.
Good luck because I felt like those new powers were super powerful, like the upgraded, especially
character
as Neville.
powers.
Yeah, character powers. Because I know as Neville, I was like, well, I'm just going to keep getting heal stuff. And I remember at one point I was just like, all right, everybody, I'm going to heal you for 2, and then I'm going to heal you for 3. And anybody who is at max health gets to draw a card and gets a damage.
Yeah.
And I got those cards multiple times. It was great.
And like we were down to like 3 health, and everyone was like bloop all the way to full.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah, so I think that year 7 for us was
Abnormal.
we got abnormally lucky, whereas like year 3 is a pretty simple year where we fucking lost hard. This game, there's, you're drawing from 4 separate decks. You have your own personal deck that you're drawing from. So depending on how those cards come out, there's the deck for cards you can buy, which if you get screwed in like early in the game, they're all 6s and nobody can afford them. Good fucking luck.
Then that still happens in like legendary or any trench style ones where you have a limited supply that you can buy from. If they're really expensive early on, it can be really hurtful.
Then there's the dark arts events that you're drawing at the start of each round, that like if you draw those in the wrong order at the wrong times, they can do a lot of damage or throw a lot of control. And then the villains are coming out in a random order, and so same thing. Some of those
can combo really well, sometimes can combo really badly. So you're like, these guys aren't doing shit.
Yeah, this isn't a concern. Don't
or
worry
if you
about
have
this.
2 Death Eaters out at the same time, you're like, oh god, I really hope we don't get that one Dark Arts card, because then everybody just loses 3 health.
Yeah. Or like some of them are really tough early, like one of them, Bellatrix Lestrange, her villain ability is draw an extra Dark Arts card. If you get her right out the gate, so you're drawing 2 from the first turn, that's going to be really hard.
It's over.
Whereas, some of them...
Getting Dolores at the end, when it's like, if you buy expensive cards, then you lose a health, and you're like, most of the time, it's like...
My deck's already built, I don't need to buy new cards.
Or even if you do, you're like, it's 1 health, I can heal, like, everybody can heal so much, it's fine.
And then there's variations in there, like the Basilisk that prevents you from drawing cards. Again, if you get that one early, it's like, so what? None of my cards can draw. If you get that late, when you're like trying to really clamp things down, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm...
and I think year 7 with the Horcruxes really had that in spades, because there are ones that are like, no one can gain extra power of money on turns. No one can gain health. And you're just like I remember a time, like, the second to last Horcrux got destroyed, and then there was the snake came out, and it's like, no, you lose that health at the start of your turn, and nobody can gain health, or as the active player can't gain health. And I was like, but I have all this health stuff that I could help everybody, but nobody will let me heal.
Yeah.
And so if they this game can be combo-y really badly.
Yeah. And so you can get unfortunately way unlucky even in an early year, like year 3, where we got crushed. Or you can get very fortunate in year 7 when it's at its hardest and feel like you waltzed through it. There is a little bit of swinginess in that regard.
Yeah.
One more thing to cover here in gameplay, I think, before we move on to final thoughts. And maybe we could even just move this into final thoughts as you give your final thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to do that. So real quick, is there any other gameplay things you guys want to cover? Or do you feel we've covered the gameplay well enough?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of hitchy rule stuff that, doesn't come into a big part, but just trying to remember like what you can or can't do, and making sure you're going down the line of, it's like, is this fucking me? Is this? And making sure you check off all those boxes can be sometimes hard to manage as you get later in the later games. There's nothing really to remind you besides to be like, oh yeah, this thing needs to fuck me right now.
Well, especially if you're drawing multiple Dark Arts cards, it's like, oh, okay, this one does, like, I remember it was like one time we had to draw 4 because it was like we drew one that said you can't draw any cards at the start of your, during this turn. And then you're like, you drew another one that was like, draw another dark events, draw another dark. And so like that card that said we couldn't draw cards was buried basically. 4 deep. And we had to be like, I remember multiple times they're like, oh yeah, we're doing the, and they're like, no, wait, you can't draw cards. And it's like, oh, god damn it.
Why couldn't you just let me cheat?
Yeah. Or vice versa, we do that, like, oh, you can't draw cards. It's like, no, that was actually the last player's turn. And we went back and like, oh, yep, you're right. That was on Megan's turn, not Jeff's turn.
Yeah. That can get a little confusing.
Yeah.
I mean we could probably have done better of like, okay,
keep the card out.
Yeah, keep it to the side, or like, even just as you set it to the side as you're drawing, and then put the one that has a continuing effect on top.
Yes.
Because you're going to shuffle that discard pile before you draw from it again anyway.
For as many of those that are in the game. I wish they would have had an area on the board that would have little tokens
Like
that you could just
active.
slot in there
Yeah.
to be like, no draw, no this, no that. No, just like a little X on draw or get money or get power. Or because it's basically or no healing.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much all of those mechanics have a don't do this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually would be I feel like that would have been an easy thing to add somewhere on the board. And then just add a couple cardboard pieces that you just put
like,
this over the hearts. So
like
no
the little
hearts.
Horcrux pieces, but with little X's on them.
Yep, that would have worked real well.
Maybe.
But right on. So I'm going to wrap that up for gameplay, and we'll move on here into final thoughts. And so the thing I was mentioning earlier, so in your final thoughts, talk a little bit about whether or not you think you would be interested in playing this game without the expansion again. Now that you've
now that we completed the
now that you completed the campaign, do you have any desire to continue playing the game?
Do we feel that it stands up on its own as a deck builder?
Correct. You know, and you could even talk about, would you play through the campaign again,
Right.
like starting at say year 4
Mm-hmm.
and then playing 5, 6, 7, or would you just, if you were going to play again, would you just always play year 7 with everything in it? Like,
Right.
So we'll talk about all of that stuff in these final thoughts. Jeff, how about you start? Mr. Lover of deck builders and no fan of Harry Potter.
Yes. I think it's an okay deck building game. I don't love it. I don't love it because it misses a lot of mechanics that I really like in deck building games. Specifically culling. There is no culling in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty vital for a great deck building game because I had so many turns in this where I just ran into a bullshit hand that there was no way that I could have bought cards to like help me remove stuff. There are some cards in there that let you like get 2 money or draw a card and kind of let you get through your deck a little more. And one of my specialty cards was like, look at, like, if you use an item, look at the top of your deck and put it in your discard or keep it on top. I chose that one because I was like, that's the closest to culling the game has ever gotten. I want that specialty. The game was entertaining enough as a deck builder to be like, oh, this is fun. And it seemed pretty difficult at 4 players, but I don't think I would even bother playing it at year 7 ever again. If I was going to spend that amount of time with a deck builder, I'd probably rather play any other deck builder. It's not the worst deck builder I've ever played, but there aren't many that would rank under it. I'm sure people can get a lot more out of it based on their love of the theme and stuff like that, but none of the mechanics in this were really like drawing me out. It was fun to play a 4-player cooperative deck builder, but most I like are, one-on-one competitive or like even Hero Realms where you have like a 4-player co-op campaign. Like that is much more interesting because it has much more in-depth mechanics that I like
in a deck builder
than something specific like this. That said, this game, I have seen more new people play this game or talk to me about this game than almost any other, like as an entry-level game for deck building or gaming in general. It seems like this is a fantastic option. It's not for me,
right?
But it is for a fuckload of people.
Yeah.
Zach, what do you think?
I would have to echo Jeff's opinion on the fact that it's just an okay deck builder.
Is your cat here?
No, I know. No, yeah, if she would probably be sitting right over here.
Yeah. Or just batting cables out.
She's just knocking shit off the back of the counter.
You would not be right.
Fucking cats.
But it's just an okay deck builder. I really think the game lives off of its theme, and for me, it's not it's a paste. It's pretty much a pasted on theme in the sense that we were talking about earlier. But it's like, hey, remember Luna? Here's Luna, and you're like, okay, she heals or whatever she does is like, okay, I guess that, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, I've got Sirius and but it's just that you have their pictures as like trading cards of them, not, you don't feel like you're actually doing something that's actually part of the theme, the work, in the books and all that stuff. Each one of the, like like I was saying earlier, each one of the years plays out the same. You get more stuff, but it's not, you're just feeling evolution and just of how much stuff you have to deal with, not anything that was reminiscent of the books. But like Jeff was saying, I think that this is a great gateway deck builder, especially for people who like this theme. I would definitely play it with people who are new to deck builders and gaming in general, and they're like, oh, I heard about this Harry Potter game. I love Harry Potter. and I really want to try this out, I would 100% play that. I'm not going to be like, oh no, that's a garbage game, you should play this one instead. No, I think this works great for pulling people in, and I would still do the campaign with them too. Like with my mom, when I go visit her again, I'm sure she'll be like, oh, can we do this again? And I would 100% do that with her, and I would still enjoy myself doing it. I didn't have a bad time any of the times that we were playing this. I did enjoy myself, but I just, like Jeff was saying, there are just other ones I would rather play if I had the choice. I do want to try it with the expansion because I've heard that is increased. Like there's a steep difficulty curve with that apparently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm curious. I would definitely try that out. But just doing if you were just like, hey, let's do the year 7 one again, and if it was like all of us playing it, it'd be like, let's. There are other deck builders on it, but if I'm for bringing new people in, I would 100% play it. Yeah.
Well, not to sound like a broken record, but we've been in agreement way too much on this show recently.
Mhm.
We need more divisive content. I'll have to make us play another Splotter or something. I really like this as a deck building game. I think that it plays well enough. I think the component problems aren't a big enough problem to ruin the game for me. I had an absolute blast playing through all 7 years with Megan as a 2-player game. I think it works really well in that regard. You know, for like just we woke up, like some mornings we woke up as like, well, what do we want to do? You know, let's cook some breakfast and then let's eat our breakfast and play a year of Harry Potter. Like it plays quick. It plays easy enough. Like, since it's fully cooperative, you know, I've got a good enough table that we were able to sit side by side eating our breakfast with the game laid out in front of us and just, you know, knock out a game here and there. And that was fine. I was interested in each year, like opening the new box and seeing what new mechanics were going to come and like how the game was going to change and like some of that basic legacy type stuff of exploring the system and seeing it grow and change.
Yes, yeah.
After finishing it at 2 players, I was interested in playing more. So I was happy to be reviewing it and getting to play it with you guys. I was curious how it played at other player counts. Now, having played 4 years at 4 players on top of everything, I feel like I've seen everything the game has to offer.
Right.
I'm not particularly interested, I don't think, in playing it more at its current thing. I do want to check out the expansion. Megan and I both enjoyed the base game enough. We will be picking up the expansion and seeing what else it has to offer. And I don't doubt that I'll probably, between when we get that and now, play the base game again because Megan loved it.
Right.
Megan absolutely loved it, and she has mentioned multiple times that she would like to play more of it. You know, recently 2-player cooperatives have really found a place in our relationship.
I wonder.
Turns out between me getting really sullen when she beats my pants off at Agricola,
and that she beats your pants off,
and that she beats my pants off a lot. 2-player cooperatives are definitely the right niche for us. It's interesting. We like either ones like Spirit Island that are actually hard and we have to really work well together to win. Or like in this case, I think a lot of her enjoyment of Harry Potter is more the theme. You know, although you're not reliving the storylines by any means, she does enjoy like some of the goofy jokes about like, oh, it's Hermione with the Elder Wand and the Sword of Gryffindor lopping off, you know, Dolores Umbridge's head. Like the weird, quirky, almost like fan fiction, alternate realities of Harry Potter that you can kind of make up as you go along.
Right.
She enjoys, and I enjoy playing through it with her. I think both of you kind of hit it on the head. Like, it's a fine deck builder. There's better ones, and like if we were the 3 of us going to play something, I'd rather play like Alien, something where I feel like the stories come through better, where the mechanics are tighter.
Well, and not just that too, but also like the random things that happening together. Like, because I feel more connected to the Alien theme, I'm like, oh, this is great how this is happening. Whereas Megan was feeling that for the Harry Potter one. So I think it like a lot of these deck builder ones come down to
the theme.
Yeah.
And that's where I think this game is really great for 2 things. So if you really like deck builders, you should check it out because it is some of the things are a little different for a deck builder. The way you fight villains, like the dark arts things each turn, experiencing the progression is interesting. If you really, really love Harry Potter, you should probably check out this game. If you really connect strongly to that theme, it's a good enough game that if you connect with the theme, it's going to push you over the edge.
I would definitely say that's the number one Like,
Yes.
if out of all of those, if you're like number one, love Harry Potter. If you love Harry Potter, you should check this game out.
Yeah, and if you love Harry Potter and you love deck builders, oh boy,
Yeah.
you're probably in for a treat. If you hate deck builders and you don't care for Harry Potter, stay away.
If you love deck builders but hate Harry Potter, I would still say stay away. Because, I mean, it's interesting enough to see that thing, but I feel like...
I would try before you buy. If you love deck builders and you don't like Harry Potter, try before you... Yeah,
I feel the
yeah,
game doesn't
if you-
hold up with that, devoid of the theme.
if you actively dislike Harry
Yeah.
Potter, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think Jeff, like being neutral on Harry Potter and liking deck builders, you can enjoy it for the deck
What it is.
builder.
Yes, yeah.
But if you hate Harry Potter, no, stay away.
Get Hero Realms and the Hero Realms campaign expansion, and then you'll have your fantasy setting.
You'll have your wizards.
And you'll have your wizards,
Mhm.
and you'll have a better deck builder, and then you'll have a campaign you can add and go through, and it's also a lot smaller.
And quicker.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, that pretty much wraps up the review. If you are interested in picking this game up after hearing us talk about it, it is pretty widely available for mid $30s to $40 range,
Mhm.
depending on where you get it. Amazon's got it for like $37, Finisher Market $39.99. So mid $30s to $40s, depending on where you go. For online game stores, and then whoever knows what your FLGS might have it at. So yeah, go check that out. We did have some listener feedback for this episode. We'll start off here with an email from Michael.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email about reviews and stuff, if you know about what we're doing beforehand.
Correct.
This one comes from Michael, titled Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Adrian, Zach, Jeff. Just listen to Ponzi Scheme, and I'm going to have to give you a nice big fuck you for making me go out and buy this game.
That's what we like to hear.
Yes.
Yeah. On that note, I have some comments on the Harry Potter game. 1. The components are literally worse than my print and plays I make for games. If Zach and Jeff want to talk shit about 18xx components, then this is far worse. I am talking strictly about the cards here. Everything else is fine, but the cards are basically the game. I am pretty sure if you brush the card up against something, it would just disintegrate into the air. I don't think the cards are that bad.
They're
But
bad.
They're
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
They won't just disintegrate.
Mhm. I feel like if they were the only deck builder cards that were that were bad,
Mhm.
then we might rail on them a bit more. But legendaries were really bad too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, consistently bad. And I feel like some of the original Dominions were pretty bad. They got better, but
yeah.
Controversial question.
Mm-hmm.
Gloomhaven cards, better or worse?
Ooh.
I think
I haven't played with the Gloomhaven cards enough.
the player cards for Gloomhaven,
I want to say better, but
but not much.
not much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was as I was thinking about the cards
Mhm.
more and more, I was like, our Gloomhaven cards are starting to
Need to be sleeved. Yeah.
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 Number 2. This game is fine up until about book 6. Books 6 and 7 rely heavily on how the item cards and villains get shuffled in. You can basically lose the game before you start and have no control over it. I'm sure Adrian hates this as well, because I do.
So the only thing that keeps me from hating this is it isn't until you get to that point that the game felt difficult. And I'm firmly of the belief that if you don't feel like you're getting your ass kicked in a cooperative
Mhm.
game, then it's not the best cooperative game.
Yeah.
So I actually enjoyed 6 and 7 the most, because those were the ones where I felt, well, aside from our play of 3 where we actually lost,
Mm-hmm.
those were the ones where I actually felt like, holy shit, like we got to be on point and playing well. Like we have to make optimal decisions to have a chance of winning right now,
Mhm.
because holy shit, it's tougher.
There are certainly some combinations of cards that you can get out on the board that you are just totally fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, like our game 7 with the 4 of us
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that fun. Like, because we just rolled house through it. And
It was funny.
it was funny, but it wasn't fun.
It was yeah.
I had fun.
I mean
I had fun.
it was
The fun was more the people and the jokes, not the
Mhm.
fact that it was a
I mean,
good play of it.
it was just Ron on top of Voldemort,
Yeah.
just punching him in the face over and over. It's like, why don't you die? And then it's like, Neville, stab those things faster. He's not taking damage.
Harry, get off that fucking chair. Huh? I'm
Harry's
good
just
here.
on his fucking
Yeah.
Phone in the
Phone.
corner.
98. They had a phone, right?
Yeah.
Cellular phones.
He was playing Snake.
I met a,
Yeah.
I met a nice Muggle girl at at Dudley School.
He continues. That's all. P.S. Adrian, I feel bad for you that Jeff and Zach don't understand what true games are. Maybe someday they will join See the Joy in hashtag CCMF.
I don't know what that is.
Choo choo, motherfucker.
Choo choo, motherfucker. Okay. Is that a thing?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
No, it's actually one of my favorite things about the A10XX community is they're all like, they're playing these like deep, heavy games that like drag on and are fairly serious, but then they're all like, choo choo, motherfucker. It's such an like, what's the term when things don't match up right?
Dichotomy?
Dichotomy. Yes, I love the dichotomy of hashtag choo choo, motherfucker.
Okay.
With actually playing an 18XX game.
A lot of hashtags this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been real bad.
In all seriously, though, in all seriousness, though, love the podcasts and the reviews, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks for the email, Mike.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
Look forward to hearing back from you more. Maybe one of these days I'll actually get them to review a train game. Tramways is coming. Zach is flipping me off, everyone. In case you were wondering.
Yeah.
Jeff would like to join me.
I got two fingers.
There you go.
Boom.
Yeah.
Both barrels.
Yeah.
Right on. So that was the only email for this episode.
Mhm.
If you want to email us about the games we are reviewing, you can do so
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
at that email address. We also had a response to the BGG post that Zach put up.
Yes.
And I'm going to have no idea how to answer.
That's fine. Here. All right. Which Harry Potter Hogwarts battle characters do you best represent?
Well, I played Harry in pretty much every game of this that I've ever played.
And you
so
sat
I'm gonna
around-
say Harry.
And you sat around doing nothing on the battle that
I
counted.
surrounded
so yes.
myself with people who were actually
Yep.
useful
Okay.
and could carry all the weight.
I mean, I like Neville.
I like
Because
Neville.
he's like the dumb kid, but then he like has a sword and stuff. I mean, Ron seems pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the sidekick sort of dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I want to start a mini-series where Jeff just explains Harry Potter as somebody who doesn't know Harry Potter.
Like a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
When Harry Potter came out, trying to explain what his grandkids were doing with
Yes.
Harry Potter.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we might as well just choose the characters that we played.
So
I liked Neville just because I was healing everybody. I'm like, you fuckers, stop taking so much damage. Then I wouldn't have to heal everybody, and I could actually do something.
he continues. There's
All right.
more
Well,
there.
Jeff didn't answer.
I-
He said Ron was cool. He said Ron was cool. He didn't say.
I
choose
guess Ron. He seems okay, competent, maybe. I don't know.
Surrounded
That's-
by useful people.
That's
He-
Jeff
He's
to
all
the
about
T.
the allies.
He has a huge family.
He had wild hair too.
He
so.
has high synergy with his family.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. All right. Next one. What houses would you be sorted into? Jeff, would you like to know what the different houses?
I know the different houses.
Okay. Do you know what their
I-
different types are?
Kinda.
Okay.
I know like the Gryffindors. That's where the Harry is.
Yeah,
and all the main characters.
Yes.
That's where the Harry
That's
is.
they value courage, bravery,
Uh-huh.
nerve, and chivalry.
I don't care about that. I don't need details like that. I just
Okay.
need to go off my general knowledge
Okay.
of playing this game and seeing the movies.
Okay.
Otherwise, I know Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff are almost completely ignored in all way, shape, and form in the movies.
Ravenclaw a little bit more than Hufflepuff is like. It's
like there's
in there
no
li-
main characters from Ravenclaw.
No.
or
It's
something.
Cedric. Was he Diggory? No.
Cedric Diggory was a character. I don't remember
What was he
house
from?
it was.
I don't know.
remember.
I know the Twilight guy is
Yeah.
in the movies and
That's
dies.
him.
in some. Okay, that's the guy. All right.
I think he was in Hufflepuff. I don't.
Okay. I know the crazy Luna girl is
Yeah.
part of Hufflepuff. They seem like weird people. I know Slytherin's kind of like the bad guys.
Yes.
I'm going to go Ravenclaw
Uh-huh.
because
Known for wisdom, intelligence, creativity, cleverness, and knowledge.
sure.
And
that
wit.
seem- yeah, I don't want to be with the bullshit one
Yeah.
that everyone wants to go into, which is Gryffindor. I don't
You-
want to be the weird people in
Mhm.
Hufflepuff. I don't want to be with the bad guys in
Yeah,
Slytherin,
yeah.
so I'm going to kind of go with the dark horse option and go Ravenclaw.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's where I was going to go too. What are you Slytherin?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're playing a game, yes.
Are they
but
all assholes in Slytherin? Is that what it is?
They value ambition, cunning, leadership, and resourcefulness.
Ambitious, intelligent, and
assholes.
determined
Yeah.
Slytherins love to be in charge and crave leadership. Do what is necessary is the motto.
I do not crave leadership at all.
I'm actually probably a Slytherin.
Yeah.
Also, huge assholes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The biggest assholes.
Mhm.
I really feel like Gryffindor, if it was like the real world, they're the obnoxious jocks of the school.
They're the preps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that.
Oh yeah. Last
There's a
one.
third question.
My phone.
Well,
is
it's not really a
just-
question.
Not
it's
really.
more a
Also,
statement.
not a question. We've gone over this, Patrick.
Does Zach need to post how to ask a question again?
No, apparently didn't work. So he says, "Tell us more about how big your wands are and what they are made of." Eric.
So I mean, I guess that's a statement. Like,
That's a
tell us
statement.
more about how big your wands are and what
But he
they're made
also
of.
signs
That's
it
a
off
statement.
Eric.
Yeah.
I don't know where the Eric came from.
I don't know.
Answering Eric's questions first, I guess.
Oh.
Okay. Now I get it.
Don't.
Yeah.
Makes sense now. My wand is an appropriate size. It casts spells just fine. I don't know what it's made of.
What?
What type of wood is it made? What are they made from? I mean, how much do you want me to kill this metaphor?
I don't know.
It's made of oak.
Why don't you go with balsa?
Balsa.
With a nice stain though, so it looks more
Balsa
presentable.
wand.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a response, or are you just not going to dignify that statement?
There wasn't a question, so I don't feel like answering it.
But he said, "Tell us more about how big your wands are." That's not a question.
It's
He's
a
telling you, "Tell us more." He wants to know more.
It's good that he wants to know more.
Anyway, that is all that we have for listener responses to the episode. If you have any thoughts on our review or our thoughts about the game, feel free to jump over to the BGG thread over there in guild number 2731 and leave responses there. You can also email us
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
if you have additional thoughts that you would like us to address. Otherwise, if you just want to get in touch with us, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram /MileHighGameGuys. We also have Twitter accounts that we all three use. I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
And if you like what we're doing here at the show, maybe think about jumping over to our Patreon, patreon.com/MileHighGameGuys, and supporting the show financially if it's within your means. We certainly appreciate that. Also, be sure to check out the other amazing creators over at punchboardmedia.com that do a lot of other awesome content, written, video, audio, all of the above. Trying to be better about pointing some of them out, because they're pretty awesome folks over there. Also, be sure to tune in next week, where we will have our normal banter episode filled with news, Kickstarter, rambliness, board games, video games. Who knows? Whoever knows what's going to be in a Wednesday episode?
Nothing of value.
It's the mystery that attracts people. And then next Friday, we will be reviewing Dinosaur Island from Pandasaurus Games, just in time for you to decide how much money you want to throw at their new Kickstarter. So be sure to tune in for that one if you're on the fence about Dinosaur Island. Otherwise, hope you've enjoyed this episode. And as always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm House Elf Jeff. Please give me a sock.
No, you're stuck here forever, Jeff. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Roughly. The final book wasn't published till 2007.
No, yeah.
No, but
it takes place in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like the actual timeline of the events take place in the 90s.
Yes.
Oh.
Like the final battle takes place in 1998.
Really?
Yes.
Where did you find that?
On the Wikipedia that I was reading randomly.
Mhm.
Well then, anyway.
Because there was cards and I wanted to know why, and I went to the Harry Potter Wikipedia and I found out why.
Yeah.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.